CBLT Morning between 7 and 9 tomorrow.
Chinatown. The very name conjures up visions of dragon dances, great restaurants, warm people, and some of the most unusual shopping around. But it's even more than that. What tremendous changes we've seen in the last decade. Vitality, growth, a stronger sense of community than ever. These things are part of Chinatown's vibrant spirit. In the next half hour, we'll be exploring the sights and sounds of Chinatown and meeting some of the people that make this one of Toronto's greatest neighborhoods.
Chinatown is like no other neighborhood in the city, for it is really a small city within a city. The shopping in this neighborhood is unsurpassed, catering as it does to the needs of the frugal and quality-conscious Chinatown shoppers. Off the Dundas Strip on the side street exist some of the oldest residential sections in the city. Here Chinese and non-Chinese residents live on the tree-lined streets.
This is the reading room above the oldest Chinese newspaper in Toronto, the Xinhua News on Hagerman Street. It is situated directly behind the new City Hall. No one seems to come here much anymore, but years ago, around the 20s and 30s, it was filled with Chinese bachelors who would come here to catch up on the news whenever they could take time out from their tedious work in the Chinese laundries and restaurants.
The first residents of Chinatown came to Toronto from the Klondike goldfields and the Western Railroads. Chinatown was fantasized by outsiders as a place of mystery and sinister goings-on. But to its bachelor residents, it was a haven, a reminder of faraway loved ones from which many were separated for more than 50 years.
Chinatown settled on York Street, then slowly shifted here to Dundas and Elizabeth, where it survived through the 30s, 40s, and 50s. We almost lost Chinatown when it faced its greatest challenge during the 1960s. With the new City Hall already swallowing up half of Chinatown, there was a plan to broaden Dundas and bulldoze the buildings on the south side. Jean Lum is one of the many who fought for the preservation of this neighborhood. Jean is a longtime resident of Chinatown.
Well, I think it's 1934 when I came to Toronto. I was just a young 16-year-old girl. That was during the Depression time. And Toronto, of course, away from home, it was very, very few Chinese people here. And to my knowledge, I remember that the whole of Chinatown was only 2,000 people. But most of them are single men with their families in China. But then there's about 12 or 13 Chinese family here. And so being the first woman here, and some of the young teenager girls, there weren't too very many. When I got married in 1939, there weren't maybe about most at the 10 girls younger than myself by the time I was 20.
The roar of construction and the pressure of development is quickly strangling Chinatown. There's been a great deal of talk lately about building a new Chinese community.
When they were going to do away with Chinatown, using the excuse saying that Chinatown was a ghetto, it upset us very much because I felt that Chinatown had a very important role in Toronto.
Mrs. Jean Lum expressed the feeling of the Chinese community last night as they appealed to the city to save Chinatown. Representatives from 29 Chinese organizations overflowed the city council chambers in an organized bid to
As a result of the efforts of Jean Lum, Wesley Lohr, and many others, old Chinatown was saved. New growth has moved westward along Dundas towards Spadina.
This new area has been zoned for the type of small businesses which characterize Chinatown. The streets to the north and south are reserved mainly for residential use. Although some of us may think of Chinatown as that lively strip of businesses and restaurants along Dundas, it is the surrounding residential area and the many Chinese residents which create all this vitality.
Hi, my name is Susie and I live here at 2 Glasgow Street, and this is my neighborhood. And we've lived here pretty well most of our lives. We've lived here for the past 17 years in this neighborhood. And I came to Canada when I was 2 years old. I was born in Hong Kong, and we lived a little further east of here, but I still consider it part of my neighborhood. There are a lot of kids that live around here and that play in this neighborhood, and I just love kids, and they're a good bunch of kids to be around with. Another thing that I like around here is that there's a lot of activity that go around. There's a Cecil Community Center, which is right next door to our place, and there's always something happening.
Try to get her here.
Oh, there are 2 more. Oh, okay. We'll get them later, okay? And also, it's a quiet neighborhood. It's a self-contained one at that, in that there may be traffic during the day, but when we need it to be quiet, it is most quiet.
Children and the elderly have a special place in Chinese society. The Monsheng Home for the Aged was started in 1975. Many disparate groups came together to finance the home and ensure the needs of Chinatown's elderly citizens. Today, the Monsheng is a landmark on Darcy Street. At Baldwin and Huron Street, there used to be a very successful corner variety store. The proprietors of this store were Peter and Pat Chmielewski.
I had a business here for 20 years, and we've lived here for 26 years in the district. 20 years in this one place.
The kids, I love them all. When they come in here, we used to give them suckers, and we used to make them sit here and talk to them and hug each other. They're beautiful. I'm telling you, they're all my kids. All the Chinese kids are all my kids. Because they're grown up now, some are married, and when they come in here, they bring their kids to us to show them. And they're beautiful, I'm telling you. So nice, so nice. I like them. I like Chinatown. I would never move from here.
Never.
West of University Avenue on Dundas Street is the Art Gallery of Ontario, and nearby is Village by the Grange. At Grange Park, you can listen to a musician like Sylvia Lee practicing on her peipaw, or just relax and watch the activity.
my most embarrassing moment with my dentures, last year's family reunion. They were taking pictures, and when I said, cheese, my dentures nearly fell out. They even got it on film. Then Aunt Ruth told me about Super Polygrip.
Super Polygrip gives a real firm hold and helps keep food from getting under your dentures and irritating your gums.
Now I always use Super Polygrip.
Super Polygrip helps keep food out, dentures in.
I don't want to be camera shy.
Kathy Palmer has everything a woman could want. A home, a family, and a secret identity.
Ryan. Rebecca Ryan.
She thinks she's a character in a book.
If I told you everything, you'd be dead before you knew it.
Why is she starting to make sense?
Jo Beth Williams, Tom Conti, American Dreamer.
Now playing at a theater near you. Consult local listings.
Chinatown welcomes many immigrants from around the world, and each new group brings to the neighborhood more change and vitality. In the 70s came the Hong Kong Chinese, and the 80s saw many families from Indochina settle here. They have found a haven and a place to start their new lives in Canada. Health, wealth, happiness, and long life. These are some of the messages found in the cookies baked at Far East Food Products.
It used to be that the only thing you could get for dessert in Chinatown was the almond cookie or the venerable fortune cookie. A small kindness on your part will reap a large reward. That's all changed. You should see what you can get now.
Kim Moon Bakery, we've been here for about 7 years, and we've been through 3 renovations. First, it used to be just the retail part. Now we have a 2-floor restaurant. We have about 100 different types of pastries here. Our prices are very competitive, I think. I think if you go to Yorkville, you can find that their prices are about $4 for a piece of cake, whereas if you come here, you can have cake and coffee for just a little over $1.
The variety of things which are available in Chinatown is amazing. Not only does one find well-known Chinese restaurants, but now there are high-fashion clothing boutiques like Yan Zheng. Yan creates her own designs from a unique variety of fabrics. Among the most important shops in Chinatown are the stores where the Chinese go for ingredients to make the age-old Chinese herbal remedies.
I'm standing in the center of the Great China Herb Center, one of many herbalist shops here in Chinatown. There are over 2,000 ingredients on the shelves and as many remedies, some of them for restoring youth.
People shop in a Chinese herb store to buy a fascinating array of dried plants and animals, like lemongrass or dried bat's wings. Each ingredient has its specific use in making anything from mustard packs to aphrodisiacs. Mr. John Chu learned traditional Chinese remedies from his father in China and has had a store in Chinatown for 15 years.
Yeah,
Hola.
Yeah. What is that you're doing?
This is cinnabar for the nerve. It's very good.
And it calms the nerves.
Calm the nerve, make people can sleep better.
Oh, tremendous.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
Oh, this is a ginseng. This ginseng, that's from Korea.
Does it only come from the Far East?
No, that's in Toronto, they grown them too. They call it Western ginseng.
Oh.
We use it quite a bit in China too.
With all the interest in holistic medicines, what is the most popular remedy?
Well, right now we have lots of older people come in to buy that remedy for the rheumatism. Yeah. This one is very popular.
Ooh.
Yeah, we call it Du Zhong. It's very good for rheumatism.
Is it a root or?
No, there's a bark as a tree. You see, but we cut it up. You see the inside?
And then what do you do to it?
We make soup. Make a soup. They all tea, together.
Fascinating.
Oh, yeah, that's very, very good. We've been using it for years in China.
Oh.
Yeah.
By the way, Mr. Chu, might you have something for my husband?
Well, they can combine with several things together.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We're in another herb store, a herb store with a difference. Here in Far East Enterprises, state-of-the-art microcomputers are sold side by side with 4,000-year-old herbal remedies.
Mainly we can say computers is for new generation and the herbs is for the old generation. But the main thing is, in my place, everyone comes to Chinatown. I can explain to the old generation about the computers and the young generation about the herbs.
Do you think herbs and computers are unusual?
Yes, it's an unusual thing, but like herbs, it's not easy for the young generation to accept, you know. And the computers is a new thing and it's a quite big impact for the old generations.
Heavy competition in Chinatown makes for some unusual combinations. Bob Wong's Wing Sung Lung looks like any other fruit and dry goods store until you walk to the back.
Well, this day now, pick up $1 is very, very tough, not like before. Because all the grocery store around here in Chinatown, they all selling fruit, which didn't give me very much room. So I might as well enlarge the monument business, which I had already started 15 years ago. Chinatown is quite good, getting more people in every day. The only trouble is we have 3 Chinatown in Toronto. Too bad if all 3 together would be very, very nice. We can beat the one in San Francisco.
We're at the Golden Harvest Theater, one of the many Chinese theaters in the Chinatown vicinity that play to packed houses on weekends and evenings. Here we can watch high-kicking gung fu heroes leaping across the screen. Or how about a romance? Stormy melodramas with beautiful leading ladies and handsome leading men. And if you want to come down and watch a show, some even have English subtitles.
There are no fewer than 10 different local newspapers on sale in the bookstores. The largest Chinatown paper is the Xinhua Daily, which has a circulation of over 10,000. The managing editor of the Xinhua is Richard Yao. Mr. Yao came to Toronto from Hong Kong 10 years ago.
In a way, we are filling the gap, devoting lots of our coverage to news in China, Taiwan, and Southeast Asia. We are for people coming from that part of the world. We rely heavily on our headquarters in Hong Kong. They send over materials via satellite to us. We have 2 Canadian pages. The content is either translated by our translator or covered by our reporters. Apart from supplying news, information, and entertainment to Chinese Canadian, we also like to do a little bit of education, telling the first generation of new immigrants about Canada. We also hope to do more education for the second generation, which will become our future readers.
Full of great entertainment, and it's all on the CBC.
We got Broadway plays and happy days.
Old Chinatown, a town that's round.
The City Hall.
And fun for all.
We've got movies to see all on the TTC.
We got Henry Moore and stores galore.
Place to amuse, fantastic views.
A science fair.
And beat that where
we got friends to see. All along the TTC.
Toronto's Entertainment Network.
Sociotech, a system of the future. It will encourage employees to learn as many skills as possible, to realize their full potential. The future, but the way many Shell Canada facilities are run today. Shell developed Sociotech because greater fulfillment means greater productivity, and now the world is taking note. Shell Canada, putting technology and people to work.
Once you see it, you'll never forget it. Once it gets in your mind, it will stay in your mind. Introducing Calais from Oldsmobile, brand new for 1985. The impression will linger. The performance will astound. Calais from Oldsmobile. Its good looks will haunt you. But until you drive it, you haven't even begun to get the feeling.
The Lucky Star Restaurant and Tavern invites you to experience the mystique of their authentic Oriental cuisine. Lunch and dinner buffets are served daily. And of course, don't forget the Lucky Star's weekend Cantonese-style dim sum brunches. Whether it's a business luncheon, after-theater snack, a dinner party for two, or an entire banquet, the Lucky Star will provide you with a meal of excellence. Lucky Star Restaurant and Tavern, 3818 Victoria Park Avenue, just south of Steeles.
This is Mr. Wong Sik Yi. Mr. Wong was well known as a traditional brush painter in Hong Kong and moved to Toronto in 1975. What we're hearing is a composition, Dragon Bells, which has been composed for a specially prepared piano. The composer is Alexina Louis, whose works have been performed by the Toronto and Winnipeg Symphony Orchestras, as well as in many countries abroad.
When I work on a film score, it's very long hours working on a film score. You start at 9 in the morning and you finish usually at 2 or 3 in the morning. And what I did was, to keep myself sane, I'd go to Chinatown at midnight and have a bowl of noodles before I came back to finish the composing for the day. I love the activity in Chinatown almost at any hour of the day. At midnight, you can go into a Chinese restaurant and there are hundreds of people having a bowl of noodles or a bowl of rice gruel. Chinese people generally have a reverence for food. You're raised to really appreciate the texture, the flavors, and it makes you feel good to eat Chinese food. If you're raised that way, you have to have it. When I'm in a place where I haven't had Chinese food for a long time, the first thing that I do almost is I get off the plane and I end up in Chinatown for a meal. And it's like being home.
With all of the wonderful surprises in Chinatown, it is the food which lures us back. Master Chef Yip at the Ying King restaurant is one of Chinatown's top chefs. Mr. Yip studied cooking for 27 years in Hong Kong and is preparing a somewhat special dish. Most of us know the delights of ordering dim sum or ginger beef in a Chinese restaurant, but there are other things on the menu which you have to be a bit more daring to ask for. Mr. Yip is preparing lively moused carp, a very difficult Hang Chow-style fish dish, which is considered a true test of a chef's ability. As a finishing touch, Mr. Yip pours a measure of alcohol into the gills of the fish, and the dish is ready for the table to delight and surprise the diners.
Chinatown, its color, culture, fabulous food, wonderful people. Maybe there is a little bit of mystery to the place, but its vibrancy and fine spirits are very, very real. And yes, for so many of us, once we enter these streets, whether to shop, eat, or just to enjoy life, it's home.
Valerie!
Hi.
How are you?
Fine. Are you hungry?
Of course, we're in Chinatown, aren't we?
Where should we go?
Let's go this way.
No, let's go this way. There's a new one. Okay.
All right. Now, which one do you like?
No.
International.
Have you been over to East Lake and had Peking duck?
No, I haven't been there. I used to go to the dining room.
Well,